7 years ago, Daeyoung begins his day feeling angry. He yells at Dajung because she didn't wake him up early like she promised. In his frustration, he even insults her intelligence. Without realizing it, he rushes out the door, not noticing that Dajung had prepared seaweed soup for breakfast to celebrate her birthday. Later, when he finds a note in his planner, he finally remembers. After work, Dajung comes home to a wonderful surprise. Daeyoung and the kids have created a sweet, homemade party just for her. Later, they sit quietly together on the stairwell. Daeyoung sincerely apologizes for how he behaved that morning. He then gives Dajung a beautiful crystal necklace shaped like her favorite constellation. Looking at her with warmth, he romantically tells her that he wishes he could give her the whole galaxy, not just a small part of it. Dajung glances up at the half-moon shining softly in the night sky and says it looks lonely all by itself. Gently, Daeyoung replies that the other half is right there beside it, even if it can't be seen. In the present day, Daeyoung finds Dajung sitting on the stairwell, clearly drunk. When she sobs softly, Daeyoung, "I've been waiting for you," her voice full of sadness and longing, he can't hold back anymore and slowly leans in to kiss her. The next morning, Dajung wakes up in shock, horrified as she remembers the kiss but tells herself it must have been just a dream. Throughout the day, she reacts strongly whenever any family member talks to her. She also feels deeply disappointed when she finds out they have run out of her favorite hangover cure, chocolate milk. At the bus stop, Dajung is complaining about her upset stomach when Daeyoung appears with 2 bottles of chocolate milk, saying he got them on a 2-for-1 deal. To her surprise and slight embarrassment, she can't help but stare at his lips as he drinks his own milk. Trying to stay cool on the bus, she listens as Daeyoung compliments her show from last night. But just as she begins to relax, the bus driver suddenly storms on the brakes, causing her to lose her balance and fall right into Daeyoung's arms. When she arrives at work, Dajung finds out that her show has been officially picked up as a regular program. Kita excitedly tells her she's been trending on the real-time list all day. Wayumi tries to downplay it, saying it's no big deal, but Kita teases her by pointing out she was on the same list too, nicknamed Typhoon Girl, for a full 10 minutes. Later, Woongi congratulates Dajung on her professional calmness during the live broadcast and checks if she's handling the few mean comments online. Dajung says she expected some criticism. Woongi reassures her that she's a really kind person. After their talk, he steps away to call a reporter friend, offering them an exclusive story about Dajung's success. At school, Bobae doesn't have enough money to buy lunch, so Daeyoung kindly pays for her meal and tells her not to skip eating. Later, she catches up with him in a classroom and confidently tells him that she knows he likes her by the way he's been acting, and that she likes him back. Poor Daeyoung is stunned, realizing that Xia's friend has completely misunderstood his caring behavior. He tries to explain vaguely that she's got the wrong idea, thinking instead about the girl he truly likes, Dajung. But Bobae jumps to an even worse conclusion, that he likes Xia. He quickly denies it and rushes away but accidentally leaves his phone behind. When Bobae sees that his lock screen is a picture of Shivu and Xia together, she becomes even more convinced of her mistaken belief. Bobae returns Daeyoung's phone while he's in science class. Just seconds later, Xia screams in pain from burning her hand. Daeyoung rushes over and pulls her to the sink to cool the burn, but she insists it's not that bad. Jiho goes to a pharmacy to get some burn ointment, and Daeyoung also arrives there to buy the same medicine, though he doesn't understand why Jiho acts so grumpy toward him. Daeyoung makes it back to Xia first and carefully tends to her burned hand. His gentle teasing and concern remind her of when she burned her hand at home and her father had treated her the same way. Poor Jiho is confused and worried. When Xia rejected Jasag's confession, she said she liked someone else. Jiho had hoped she meant him, but now he's not so sure anymore. Meanwhile, the exclusive story Wonki offered to his reporter friend isn't about Dajang, it's about Wonki's own divorce. He's clearly bracing for backlash once it's published, and he interprets his co-workers' avoidance as them being considerate of his feelings. Director Moon calls Wonki into his office, and Wonki braces himself for a harsh scolding. Instead, Director Moon asks, "Do you really think someone who uses their personal life for attention deserves to be a JBC anchor?" Wonki, feeling guilty, offers to take responsibility and quit. But Director Moon clarifies he's talking about Dajang, whose honest and emotional reveal about her divorce on live TV last night has drawn a lot of attention. Director Moon admits he saw the article about Wonki's own divorce but honestly doesn't care. He tells Wonki to think carefully about whether Dajang would make a good full-time anchor. Wonki leaves the office, a little disappointed that his own personal story isn't very newsworthy. To make it even funnier, the only comment on Wonki's article is the typical annoying first. Later, Dajang gets a call from Dukjin, inviting her to dinner to celebrate her successful show. On her way out of work, she imagines the embarrassing dream of kissing Dayang playing on the Jumbotron, which makes her shiver in horror. Wonki sees her reaction and mistakenly thinks she's bursting with excitement. Dajang arrives at the fancy restaurant where Dukjin made the reservation, but only Dayang is there. He explains that Dukjin invited him but cancelled last minute. Dayang suggests they reschedule, but soon the waiter brings plates of food that Dukjin ordered and already paid for, so Dajang feels she must stay. As Dajang digs enthusiastically into her steak, Dayang watches her with a sad and wistful look. He thinks to himself, "I forgot that when I treat her like a precious gem, she can truly shine, just like now." He remembers Dajang once told him she wanted to eat at this restaurant, and he had promised to take her on her birthday but never did. "I wanted her to be loved all her life," Dayang reflects, "but I used my busy life as an excuse and made her just my wife and the mother of my children." Dajang catches him staring at her, and he quickly says, "Beautiful," but then catches himself and says it was about the view instead. Dukjin texts Dajang to explain that something urgent came up and he can't make it. Then he sends a message to Dayang saying, "You owe me one." Dukjin is at another cosplay party dressed as Aladdin, but teacher OK calls to cancel on him, saying it's not right for a teacher to date a student's father. Shortly after, Aaron calls, inviting Dukjin out for a drink. After dinner, it starts pouring rain, but Dayang realizes he forgot his umbrella. He offers to walk Dajang home and share hers, so they set off on foot. Upstairs in the dining room, the waiter finds the umbrella Dayang deliberately left behind. As they walk, Dajang suggests they get a cab, but Dayang says she never does that because she likes to save money. Surprised, she wonders how he knows that about her. Suddenly, a car speeds by, splashing a big wave of water toward them. Dayang quickly steps in front of Dajang to shield her from the splash. He ends up holding her tightly for a moment before they slowly pull apart. At her place, Dajang lets Dayang come inside and offers him one of Shivu's shirts to wear. When he takes off his wet shirt, Dajang notices his young, healthy body and stammers, quickly retreating to her room. Dayang kicks himself, realizing this isn't his home anymore. Just then, Jiho calls Dajang and says he's outside, wanting to see her briefly. When she steps out, Jiwoo surprises her with a congratulatory bouquet of flowers. Standing in the doorway, Daeyoung glares at Jiwoo as he proudly calls himself Dajung's #1 fan. Jiwoo hands her an invitation for Xia to attend a party that Dukjin's company is hosting for the premiere of their newest video game. Dajung was already invited by Dukjin. Jiwoo, who is the model for the game's main character, will also be holding a signing event that night. Jiwoo finally notices Daeyoung lingering nearby and casually asks if he's planning to attend the party. Daeyoung quickly replies that he's not, prompting Jiwoo to raise an eyebrow. He was under the impression from Dukjin that Wooyoung was a big fan. Daeyoung mutters that it's just part of an embarrassing past he'd rather forget. Dajung smiles warmly at Jiwoo, thanking him sincerely for the flowers, but Daeyoung suddenly snaps, warning her not to smile at just anyone, then turns and storms off in a huff. Caught off guard, Dajung watches him go, puzzled by his strange behavior. Jiwoo quietly offers a theory, maybe the boy likes her. Dajung's eyes widen in surprise at the idea. Meanwhile, at a convenience store, Bobae confides in Xia that she's sure Wooyoung has a crush on her. Back at home, the women of the family gather to watch a drama together, but both Xia and Dajung are too distracted to focus. They're each preoccupied with the possibility that Wooyoung might like them, and neither can shake the awkwardness. Eventually, they both give up pretending to watch and retreat to their rooms, each lost in her own thoughts. Elsewhere, Dukjin meets Aerin at a bar for drinks. She urges him to forget about Teacher OK and find someone new. He groans that no one else gives him butterflies the way she does. Aerin grins and proposes a deal. If she can successfully seduce him, he'll promise to move on from Teacher OK. She scribbles something on a small piece of paper, then leans in closer, sharing a memory. The night he rescued her from her ex-boyfriend, she thought he looked manly and reliable. With a playful gleam in her eyes, Aerin tells Dukjin he's a good man and that he should start seeing himself that way. She theatrically drops her pen, then pulls off a dramatic bend and snap right in front of him, leaving Dukjin completely dazed. Before walking off with a confident sway, she hands him the paper. When Dukjin unfolds it, it reads, "If you got butterflies, find someone else." As they leave the bar together, Dukjin watches Aerin warily, like she might try to devour him at any moment. But things take a turn when the elevator suddenly breaks down. Dukjin collapses onto the floor, gasping for air and claiming it's trauma. When he stops breathing, the security guard urges Aerin to perform mouth-to-mouth. She tries, she really does, but can't bring herself to actually touch her lips to his. Fortunately, the elevator doors open just in time, sparing them both further embarrassment. Dukjin dreams he's lying in a lavish bed set in the middle of a flower-filled garden. Through the sunlight, he sees Teacher OK approaching, dressed like Princess Jasmine, her eyes soft and full of affection. Just as she reaches for him, he jolts awake in a stark hospital room. But to his utter surprise, she's really there, sitting by his bedside. She tells him that Aerin called to let her know he had collapsed. Around the corner, Aerin smirks quietly, clearly pleased with herself. The next morning, Daeyoung waits outside Dajung's building as she leaves for work. Still reeling from the confusing feelings between them, Dajung decides it's time to draw some boundaries. She's tense and defensive as he hands her a small bag, suspicious it's another weak excuse to talk. But when she opens it, it's just the shirt she lent him after the rain. Embarrassed but not wanting to show it, she brushes past him without a word. Just then, Xia steps out for school and also spots Daeyoung. Irritated and misreading the situation, she assumes he's there for her and snaps coldly before walking off. Dajung's mom watches this whole scene unfold, eyebrows raised in concern. "What's gotten into the women of this house today?" she mutters. Finally, Shivu leaves for school, and Dayang walks with him. Mom glances at them from the window and marvels softly to herself, "They really do look so alike." Later at the company, Dukjin's still dealing with the fallout of his hospital stay. He tells Eirin that even though teacher OK came to see him, she still refused to date him. Eirin, growing impatient, once again tells him to let her go. But he refuses loudly, so loudly that as the elevator doors open, his assistants overhear him yelling, "My love is sincere." With Eirin standing nearby, it looks like he's declaring his feelings for her. Their jaws drop, and Dukjin looks horrified as they quickly back away with knowing smirks. Meanwhile, preparations are underway for the launch party of Dukjin's new video game. With one last ounce of hope, he sends a message to teacher OK, asking her to come to the party, just one last chance to talk. The party is massive, with dazzling costumes and life-sized posters of Jihoon styled as the game's Spartan lead. When Dajung arrives, she's instantly swept into the spotlight. Jihoon finds her almost immediately and compliments how stunning she looks tonight. Then he heads off to his signing booth. Trying to avoid Dayang, whom she spots nearby, Dajung darts through the crowd, only to bump into someone and lose her balance completely. She tumbles backward into the pool, gasping in shock. Both Jihoon and Dayang dive in after her, reaching her at the same time, only for Dajung to realize, humiliated, that the water barely reaches her waist. She stands up, drenched, as the fountain suddenly turns on, sending a graceful arc of water over them. With the lights glinting off the spray, the scene looks like something straight out of a romance movie, though Dajung can't decide if it's fate or farce. The guys end up in the mains room at the same time to dry off, both shirtless and clearly grumpy at each other. The air feels heavy with unspoken tension as they try to shake off the wetness and their irritation. Jihoon asks Dayang if he actually came after all just to see Dajung. When Dayang snaps back, asking why Jihoon even cares, Jihoon admits honestly that he likes Dajung himself. Jihoon tells Dayang that his crush is just a product of immaturity and that he should stop. Suddenly, Dayang is done taking disrespect from this younger guy, someone he sees as less experienced. He growls at Jihoon, "What you see isn't everything. Pick your battles carefully." Xia is at the party with Bobe. When they see Dayang, Bobe immediately takes his presence as a sign that he likes Xia. Dajung overhears the girls talking about it and watches quietly as Xia pulls Dayang aside to talk. Curious and a little confused, Dajung asks Bobe if Wooyoung really likes Xia. Bobe tells her that he always takes care of Xia at school. Suddenly, Dajung feels foolish. She realizes that all the attention Dayang has been giving lately wasn't for her, but to get closer to Xia. Meanwhile, Xia is straightforward. She asks Dayang directly if he likes her. He answers honestly that he does, because they're friends. Xia feels relieved that he only sees her as a friend and eagerly accepts his friendship. Dayang's face lights up, almost like he's about to burst with happiness that his daughter wants to be his friend. Next, Dajung asks Dayang if they can talk privately. They move to an empty balcony away from the noise of the party. Dajung starts by apologizing for being rude earlier that morning. She thanks him sincerely for everything he's done for her and the twins. Dayang looks at her, a bit surprised, and asks if he did something to offend her. Dajung shakes her head gently and explains that it's not about him, it's just that seeing him brings back memories of her past. Carefully, Daeyoung asks if she hates him because he reminds her of her ex-husband. Dajung looks thoughtful before answering. She says her ex is someone she should actually apologize to. Instead of feeling resentment, she feels grateful for what he gave her. She then looks up at the night sky, noticing the half-moon shining above. It's been a long time since she's seen it. With a soft, wistful voice, she says, I hope the other half is doing okay. Even if I can't see it, I hope it's doing well. Daeyoung is clearly moved by her words. He understands she's talking about him. Without thinking, he leans in and kisses her. Additional scene. Down at the party, Dukjin gathers everyone's attention and gives a short speech about the launch of his game. After talking about the success, he surprises the guests by saying he plans to confess his feelings to someone special. The camera shows that teacher OK did make it to the party. He jokes about being a gamer who's too awkward to find a girl, then credits teacher OK as the reason he's finally coming out of his shell and stepping into the world. With a serious and formal tone, he asks teacher OK to date him. Then, dramatically, he kneels down and holds out a ring box. Just as she moves forward, ready to accept, Dukjin's assistants suddenly push Aaron onto the stage, thinking she's the one he's confessing to. Both Aaron and Dukjin quickly protest, saying she's not the right person. But it's too late. Teacher OK, hurt and upset, storms off in a huff. They chase after teacher OK, finally catching up with her in a quiet courtyard nearby. Dukjin and Aaron quickly reassure her that there's been a huge misunderstanding, that they're only friends. To prove it, Dukjin shows teacher OK the ring he had planned to give her. It's the Reality Stone, one of Marvel's powerful Infinity Stones, and seeing it wins her over. She takes the ring and lifts it up, holding it carefully in the light. But then, something catches her eye. On a nearby balcony, teacher OK, Dukjin, and Aaron all turn to see Daeyoung and Dajung. They all gasp in horror as they watch Daeyoung lean in and kiss Dajung, only to have Dajung pull away quickly and slap him.